Good morning and welcome to Zen Fits here in Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the world. But then you too are at the center of the world. Well, we have a good Zen fit for you this morning. It's called The Voyage of the Naughty Nuts. The Voyage of the Naughty Nuts, K-N-O-T-S. You see this right here. Of course, it's backwards because I'm on mirror. This was a skateboard that says Naughty Nuts. And back in 1969, we moved to Miami in search of, under the promise of a job that didn't materialize, and ended up on a houseboat, and we named it the Naughty Nuts. And it was a transformative time in my life because basically I didn't know. I'd had a samadhi or awakening in 1968, and now I was in Miami on a houseboat. And who was I now? What did I want to do? That was a big question. And so I was on this houseboat, and the houseboat was ambiguous. It was a house. You'll have to look on my Facebook thing to see the pictures. But it was a boat, but it was a house. It was built by this fellow who designed it himself. It was a fiberglass bottom with a trailer built on it. So it was a rectangular boat with two outboards in the end, square front. So it wasn't like you could move it on the water. We had to drive it from Coconut Grove in downtown Miami up to North Miami, where a yacht basin there was called Rama Yacht Basin. So that was the only time we took it out as a boat. The rest of the time it was like a trailer moored to a dock. And the only time you realized it was on a boat is when it was on a little river. When another boat went by, and went, ooh, ooh. A friend of ours came down from New York, got seasick in our living room. But anyway, so I've been writing about this morning, inspired by the movie. We finally finished the Netflix series called 1899, and it's just been inspiring and triggering a whole bunch of metaphorical threads going out. And of course, this is about the voyage of the Prometheus, and so I just created a title called The Voyage of Naughty Nuts. The Voyage of the Naughty Nuts. This is a great Buddha analogy of the silk thread, the silk rope tied with nuts. So if you look at your life, if you get a little age on you, it's got a series of knots in it, situations where you get tangled up, situations that tie you in knots. And you work to get untied and get free, and maybe you get free, but then another knot appears, a new situation. We think it's a new knot. But the voyage of the naughty knot, these are naughty knots. Now, a naughty knot. Now, of course, I'm playing on the word knot here, because knot is K-N-O-T. A knot tied with rope, or a knot in your life, or is it N-O-T, knot? Remember when everything was, you'd say something, it was a popular knot, and you would say something and then say not. In other words, it was an ironic way of saying this and then saying not. I was going to Walmart and do some shopping. Not. In other words, I went to Walmart and got tied in a knot. So the naughty knot. See, I love playing with words like this. Ambiguities, you see. So if you look at the naughty knot and you look at the Buddha analogy of the silk rope or thread tied in knots, the silk is the same in every knot. But when we encounter the knot in a situation, we think it's a new knot. Why did this have to happen, you see? And so we have to untie it, work with it again. It's like we forgot that we untied it before. We forgot how we untied it before. We forgot that I tied the knot. I forget. I do this all the time. I think it's dementia. So you get in a situation where you have to relearn, particularly when you get older, a little behavior, how to do something or how to do this or that. If you remember how to do it, and then it was a long time before you do it, you have to relearn it all over again. To get out the manual. How did I, in other words, so that's kind of like our situations in life that are knots get tied up. The knot gets you tied up, you see. Where you're neither coming or going. You're just going round and round and round. And it builds in anxiety. America's tied in a knot right now, building anxiety, erupting in mass shootings and psychic dramas and all that, because we're tied in a knot. We can't get out. And every time we can't get out because and this is like a collective knot or a personal knot, we can't get out of our knots because we forget that I forget that it is I who tied the knot. So if I remember that I tied the knot, the knots in my life, the knot releases. Whew. The silk is the same in all the knots. I am the same in all the knots. Ice cubes, metaphorically speaking, are ice knots. The water's the same. So the ice knot melts spontaneously when I remember that I'm the water and not the ice. So this is, so getting back to 1899, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a movie where you go through a series of knots where you think you know what's going on, and then you don't know what's going on. And then you think you know what's going on, and then you don't going on. So there's a myth for this, the Gordian knot, that the hero has to cut. I forgot who, maybe it was Alexander the Great or something, but the idea of cutting the Gordian knot is cutting the knot that reties itself. You cut the knot. This is Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day was about a knot in which he kept repeating himself over and over again. The world kept repeating. He couldn't find a way to untie it. So his path in the Groundhog Day was discovering how to untie the knot. But there's no manual for it. There's no instructions. There's no way to untie the knot. There's no means to untie the knot. It has to be a discovery. You have to stumble upon it when nothing you do is any good. So after you spend your whole life trying to untie the Gordian knot, the naughty knot, one day you stumble upon it and the knot releases. And the knot becomes yes. The naughty knot becomes yes. And when the no becomes yes, you're free. Because whenever you discover another knot, you discover another yes. The no is yes. The knot is the release. Instead of having the knot or the no, then you got to work and struggle and do more yoga and more meditation and find a new teaching in order to get to the release. When you discover the naughty knot, the knot and the release are the same. No is yes, yes is no. And I refer to this usually in my writing as catch-22. Catch-22 is when no is yes and yes is no. And so we're always encountering a situation where no matter what we do, we can't get out. No matter what we choose, we're still in the same situation. So this is Zen. Zen, in the way I practice it, or the meaning I understand, Zen is a situation where no matter what you do, it's no good. Now, what are you going to do, you see? So in nothing you works is in nothing you works in untying the knot, you have to discover that the no or the not is yes. In other words, the knot or your situation in life is no longer divided into I'm stuck and I've got to get to a release. That's time. So when you come upon by accident, after struggle, after years of struggle, that there is no time, that all is now, that we're always in the same situation, but with different stage settings. In other words, we're always on the same silk rope, but with just different knots. So when you discover that we're always the silk thread, we're always the same situation, we're always in this timeless now, that's awakening. And when we awaken to that timeless dimension, or the silk thread, the knot becomes yes. And there is a spontaneous release. You don't have to do anything. It just releases. So whenever you come upon a knot, you come upon the release. It's the same thing. The yes and the no is the yes is the no is yes, the yes is no. That, as far as my experience is awakening. So whatever you come upon, whatever no you come upon, it's also yes. But as long as you think it's no, you got to find the yes in time. You got to struggle to untie the knot. You blame somebody for the knot. Who did I hurt? Who did it? Say, who tied this knot? We go around looking for somebody who tied it. You tied it. It's a great laugh. It's a naughty knot. Thank you.